The summer heat hung heavy over the mother road, pressing down on the blacktop like an invisible hand. The air. It smelled of burnt rubber and motor oil, mixed with the faint, dusty sweetness of the Arizona sun. Desert Oasis Motors shimmered in the distance, its chrome fixtures catching the light, a beacon of false promises. The drone of traffic hummed in the background. But inside that showroom, a different kind of commotion was about to erupt. Marcus Stone. He rumbled into the lot on his 1978 Harley-Davidson shovelhead, the engine coughing like distant thunder as it cooled in the shade. At 53, he wore the etched face of a man who'd lived hard and survived even harder. His leather vest, black and creased from decades on the road, sported the unmistakable red and white Hell's Syndicate patch across the back. His arms were a canvas of faded ink, stories only the asphalt could tell. But beneath that tough exterior, Marcus carried a secret few suspected. 40 years of successful business ownership and a wallet fat enough to buy everything on that lot. Twice over. Before we go any further, if you believe in respect, in karma, and standing up against prejudice, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel. And tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Because stories like this, well, they remind us that you should never judge a book by its cover. No matter where in the world you live, Marcus walked into the showroom, his boots thumping on the polished floor. The air conditioning hit him like a wall after the desert heat. He'd been hunting for a classic pickup truck to restore, something to tinker with during those slow winter months. His eyes locked on a 1967 Chevy C10, cherry red, chrome bumpers gleaming under the fluorescent lights. The price tag, $42,000. A young salesman, sharp in a crisp blue suit, approached him, but skidded to a halt when he saw the vest, the tattoos, the worn denim. His smile, it flickered and died. He turned and walked away without a word, pretending to check his phone. Marcus waited. Patience was a lesson the road had drilled into him deep. After 10 minutes, a manager named Bradley Carter finally sauntered over. Bradley was the type who measured a man by the shine of his shoes and the brand on his suit. He looked at Marcus like he was inspecting something that had crawled in off the highway. Bradley sniffed, his voice coated in condescension, asking if Marcus was lost or just looking for the restroom. Marcus kept his voice steady. He pointed at the C10 and said he wanted to buy it. Cash today. Bradley laughed, not a polite chuckle, but a full, mocking laugh that echoed through the showroom. He waved over two other salesmen to share the joke. "Look at this guy," Bradley said, loud enough for the customers to hear. "A biker wants to buy a classic with cash. What did you do? Knock over a convenience store this morning?" Marcus felt the heat rising in his chest, but he kept his cool. He reached inside his vest and pulled out a thick envelope, $45,000 in $100 bills. He counted out $42,000 right there, Houston, on the hood of a nearby car. Bradley's smile. It faltered for a split second, then snapped back, even more venomous than before. He shook his head and said the dealership reserved the right to refuse service to anyone. "We don't sell to criminals," he announced. "Take your dirty money somewhere else." Marcus gathered his cash, tucked it back into his vest, and walked out, without another word. But as he climbed onto his Harley, he pulled out his phone and made a single call. "Club meeting tonight," he said. "I've got something to share." The next morning, Bradley Carter arrived at Desert Oasis Motors to find the parking lot empty of customers. Strange. For a Saturday, he thought. Then he heard it. A low rumble, growing louder by the second, like a storm rolling in from every direction. He stepped outside, and his blood ran cold. 300 motorcycles, all Harleys, were rumbling past the dealership in a thundering parade. The red and white Hell's Syndicate patches blazed in the morning sun. Men and women in leather, chrome glinting everywhere. They weren't stopping. They were heading to Summit Auto Sales, the competitor dealership half a mile down the road. Bradley watched, frozen. As the endless river of bikes flowed past, some riders turned their heads to look at him. They didn't wave, they didn't shout, they just looked. And somehow, that silence was worse than any threat. At Summit Auto Sales, the scene was different. The owner, a man named Rick Vega, who had been struggling to keep his dealership afloat, stood in stunned disbelief as 300 Hell's Syndicate members filled his lot. Marcus Stone was at the front, and he was smiling. Marcus told Rick they were there to buy trucks, cars, whatever was on the lot, cash deals, no haggling, fair prices only. Rick's eyes widened. Within 3 hours, the Hell's Syndicate purchased 47 vehicles, totaling over $2.3 million in sales. Classic trucks, muscle cars, family sedans for members' relatives, every transaction was clean, professional, and paid in full. Rick couldn't stop shaking Marcus's hand. He kept asking, why? Why his dealership? Marcus just smiled and said that Rick had once helped a stranded rider change a flat tire 2 years ago. No questions asked. The syndicate never forgot kindness. Meanwhile, though, back at Desert Oasis Motors, Bradley Carter watched through binoculars as his competitor's lot emptied of inventory. His phone started ringing. Corporate was calling. Someone had posted videos of the massive Hell's Syndicate purchase at Summit, and the story was going viral. Desert Oasis Motors was being tagged as the dealership that turned away the biggest cash sale in Arizona automotive history because they judged a customer by his appearance. Within a week, Desert Oasis Motors received over 10,000 negative reviews online. Corporate fired Bradley Carter and issued a public apology. The dealership's sales plummeted 60% over the following month. Rick Vega's Summit Auto Sales, on the other hand, was featured on national news. He used part of his profits to start a scholarship fund for local high school students, a suggestion Marcus had made during their handshake. The fund was named after Marcus's late daughter, who had dreamed of becoming a mechanic before leukemia took her at 17. And before we end, we have one special request for you. Comment below with the words, "Respect goes both ways," to show that you stand with Marcus and everyone who has ever been judged unfairly, because sometimes the people who look the roughest on the outside carry the biggest hearts within. And karma, as Bradley Carter learned, always finds its way back around. Never judge a person by their appearance, because you never know who you're truly dealing with. And kindness, just like cruelty, always finds its way back to where it started. It's a law of nature, a cosmic boomerang. What you put out into the world, you eventually get back, tenfold. So remember that. Every act of generosity, every moment of compassion, it all comes back around, eventually. Sometimes when you least expect it. But cruelty? Oh, that's the same story. You sow seeds of malice, and you'll reap a harvest of heartache. It's unavoidable. It's the desert's own brand of justice, you might say. Slow, methodical, and absolutely certain. So, choose wisely what you send out into the world, because it will be coming back. The desert. It teaches you patience, and it teaches you that actions, they always have consequences, good or bad. Rick Vega would find out sooner or later. The Mother Road remembers everything.